The customs of the Spartans are rather severe. Each newborn is examined by the Spartans to see whether or not it is complete. If it is malformed in any way, the youngster is let to perish on its own. They teach their sons through the agoge, which is also known as the School of Hard Knocks. During combat training, if a young boy drops his weapon, his own father would lacerate his upper lip with a solid punch. At the age of 7, each young boy is separated from his mother and sent into the woods to fend for himself until he is an adult. Even the king must go through with this initiation ceremony. At the age of 15, the future king Leonidas attempts to kill a wolf by luring it into a small passageway so that he can kill it. He goes back to his homeland to assume the throne. A number of years later, messengers make their way to King Leonidas in order to request that Sparta submit to King Xerxes. The behavior of the emissaries provokes King Leonidas, who responds by throwing them into a well. Before leading the Spartan army into combat, he pays a visit to the ephors in order to win their favor. This is because he is aware of the danger posed by Xerxes' invasion force. He advises using the geography of the hot gates of Thermopylae to repel the enemy that is greater in numbers by herding the Persians into a small pass between the rocks and the sea, where their immense numbers will count for nothing. Concerned about the proposal, the ephors seek advice from the oracle. In her hallucinogen-induced trance, Helen issues an edict that Sparta must refrain from going to war in order to avoid disturbing the holy Carnean festival. Leonidas storms out in a rage, and the priests, in exchange for their negative response, accept a bribe of gold belonging to Xerxes from Theron, a traitorous Spartan. Although Leonidas is hesitant to openly challenge the dishonest members of the clergy, his wife pushes him to think creatively and outside the box. Leonidas makes the decision to amble gently to the crucial position of the hot gates while accompanied by 300 of his most trusted warriors who will serve as his bodyguard. His wife bids him farewell, telling him to return with his shield or on it, and presents him with a necklace before she leaves. They run into several allies along the way, and those allies are surprised to learn that the Spartans are sending such a small army. They make their way to Thermopylae, where they are met by Arcadians and other Greeks. Leonidas inquires among the soldiers of the allied army about their trades, specifically looking for craftsmen and artisans. He makes the point that he has brought more soldiers with him than they have brought with them. They build a wall in plain view of the advancing Persian army in order to halt the Persians' progress. Storms of a severe kind wipe off a portion of Xerxes' fleet, but this accounts for only a tiny fraction of the formidable army they will encounter. Ephialtes, a terribly scarred man, approaches Leonidas in order to alert him of a goat route that is no longer in use at the back of his position. Ephialtes asserts that his family fled Sparta shortly after he was born in order to protect his life. He has faith that they will be redeemed by their service to Leonidas. Leonidas explains that every Spartan warrior is an essential component of the phalanx, and he challenges Ephialtes to demonstrate that he can raise his shield high enough to adequately protect the rest of the Spartan troops. When it is clear that he is unable to, Leonidas gently instructs him to instead care for others who have been injured in battle. The highest aspirations of Ephialtes are dashed. Following the arrival of a Persian ambassador, it is discovered that the bodies of the earlier scouting team have been used as mortar for the massive rock wall. The Persian claims that his arrows will completely obscure the sun, to which the Spartans respond that they will merely fight in the shade. Everyone in that emissary's party perished. A call for the Spartans to lay down their weapons and surrender is made by the Persians before the fight begins. Leonidas is unmoved and issues a challenge to the Persians, demanding that they come and seize their weapons. The Spartans are able to continually thwart the Persians and inflict massive casualties thanks to their closely knit phalanx formation, which forces the Persians to fight in an area that is somewhat congested. As a result of Xerxes' admiration for the combat prowess of the Spartans, he visits Leonidas personally in an effort to convince him to submit. In return for his faithfulness, he offers Leonidas a share of his money and power. After declining, Leonidas promises to make the god king bleed and then turns to rejoin his army. After hearing the negative response, Xerxes sends his masked personal guard, who go by the name the Immortals. However, the Spartans debunk this appellation as well. The fights are still going on, and the Spartans are winning against soldiers and animals that have been brought in from all over the broad limits of the Persian Empire. These men and creatures range from Mongolian barbarians and Eastern chemists to African rhinoceroses and Indian war elephants. The Spartans continue to dominate. Despite their bravery, one of the Spartans' sons are taken out. After hearing the roaring cry of a father, I don't think the Persians got to sleep that night due to fear. Ephialtes travels to Xerxes and negotiates a deal with him in which he will show the Persians the goat trail in exchange for a uniform, along with the promises of ladies and wealth. If Ephialtes is willing to bow down before the god monarch, Xerxes will grant him the wish he has. Back in Sparta, Queen Gorgo has been lobbying the council to support her request that they dispatch assistance to Leonidas. A kind counselor makes arrangements for her to speak, but warns her that she will need Theron on her side in order to be successful. Theron says that he will assist her if she will sleep with him, so she gives in to his demand. At the Hot Gates, the Spartans discover that they have been deceived, and they immediately realize that their battle is lost. In the face of inevitable doom, the Arcadians flee the battlefield. The Spartans are adamant that they will not follow. The hesitant Delios is given the command by Leonidas to travel back to Sparta and inform the citizens there of their impending fate. Queen Gorgo addresses her petition to the Spartan council while she is there. Instead of helping her out as she had promised, Theron betrays her and accuses her of having an adulterous relationship. Under a fit of wrath, Gorgo grabs a sword and stabs Theron, causing a bag of gold that was concealed under Theron's robe to burst out. As the coins bearing Persian insignia begin to fall to the ground, the council comes to the conclusion that Theron has been dishonest and decides to band together in opposition to Persia. At the Hot Gates, the Persians have surrounded the Spartans, who have constructed a dome out of their shields in order to protect themselves from the Persian attack. The statue of Leonidas may be seen standing in front of the dome. The general serving Xerxes issues a demand for their submission while also announcing that Leonidas may keep his title as king of Sparta and become warlord of all Greece, with Xerxes being the only one to whom he must answer. Ephialtes also recommends this, to which Leonidas responds, "May you live forever," which is an insult coming from a culture that regards death and heroism in combat as highly valued qualities. As if to show his submission, Leonidas takes off his helmet and shield and drops them both to the ground. After that, Stelios breaks through the dome and murders the general while vaulting over his king to do so. Xerxes, who is furious, gives the command for his forces to attack. While Persian archers were shooting at the remaining Spartans, Leonidas sprang up and threw his spear at Xerxes, cutting open his cheek and causing him to bleed, proving that even a god king can bleed. As a stark reminder of his own mortality, Xerxes watches helplessly as the last of the Spartans are obliterated by the combined strength of his army. As Leonidas approaches the end of his life, he expresses his love for his wife by saying it out loud to her. He is pelted with arrows, and the screen turns black as the attack continues. When they got back to Sparta, Delios gave the necklace to Queen Gorgo and told her about what had happened to her husband. Delios draws to a close in his story in front of an attentive audience of Spartans and announces that the 120,000-strong Persian army that just narrowly overcame 300 Spartans now faces 10,000 Spartans leading 30,000 Greeks. Delios, after praising Leonidas for his sacrifice, rallies the collected Greek army and leads them in a violent attack against the Persian army, which sparks the Battle of Plataea. Please support me with that like button and subscribing if you enjoyed this video. It really helps me out and will give you all future video release updates. As always, thank you so much for watching, stay safe and God bless.